Hi, how you doing? Hi. So yeah, on last Wednesday I was trying to explain myself on why I didn't, you know, recorded so many videos last Wednesday. To me, it was about a while ago, and I wanted to explain to you why I wasn't recording that much. And by the way, I would like to say hello to the new subscriber. Hi there. Nice to meet you. I'm Victoria. Miss Know It All. How do you do? Uh, yeah, I was talking about that, and one of the things I want to talk about is about the day that it is, at least to me, today. It's Brother's Day in my country, or at least that's what I heard in the radio today, late this morning. And I would like to talk about something I spoke about with my brother. So yeah, let's get into it, shall we? So earlier today, I heard on the radio because my mom insisted that I should bring with myself a radio to keep myself informed because the country is crumbling, and yes, there were lootings, and what I mean lootings is not Chicago type of looting. It's lootings in which people completely take everything out of the store and they try to burn it to the ground. And the problem is, in some of those stores, people live in the back because that's where they live and work. And yeah, things got nasty. They got really nasty. And that was around the time I actually moved. That was my first week here. My mom was like, the country is crumbling and you are why are you having to move? Ah! And I was like, because I have to. Because I'm 30. But why now that the country's so bad? And I'm like, when was the last time it was alright? I don't get it. Why can't you just wait until things get better? Because I just pay for the deposit, Mom. And if I have to wait for things to get better, I'm going to be waiting here for a long time. I'm going to be living with you for a long time. So, my mom, she insisted on me bringing a radio, which is there, over there. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, I brought it and I occasionally hear it a little bit. And one of the things that today in the radio they was talking about, one of the many things, was that today is the Day of Brothers. At least in my country. I don't know if it's an international thing. I don't care. The thing is, I texted my brother and I said, hey, happy day. And I said to him, no, it's not Animals Day because we have a day to celebrate animals. So we say Feliz el Animal sometimes to each other. And he said to me, oh, so it's the day of the idiot? Oh, you just went ahead with a joke before I could say it. And I was like, nope. And he said, 5th of September, I have no idea what could possibly be today's day. And I was like, today's Brother's Day. So we were talking about how all idiots didn't. He said, it's Idiot's Day. And I was like, no, because there was so stupid that when the session in Congress was said and stuff like that. Brothers joked. You guys didn't join together and went to present your case, and he said every day it's Idiot's Day, yada yada yada. We went on like that for a little while. Then I don't know why. Oh yeah, we were talking about my dog Matute, which my mom didn't allow me to bring it with me because she said, "Oh, but Matute would suffer without us. Like he's gonna suffer without me." Anywho, he had to stay with her and with my brother, and my brother was like, now he's all the time glued to me. And I was like, yeah, because you are now his older brother. Welcome to the club. To the responsibility of being an older brother. And I sent a couple of guys in an old movie saying like this, and I was like, welcome to the club and welcome to the responsibility to go. And the thing is, that clip, I look at it and I thought, I think this is from the Fighting Sullivans. And I said to my brother, and ironically, in this Brother's Day, I think this is from a clip of a movie called The Fighting Sullivan. It's about a real history about five brothers who died together on a ship on World War II. And my brother was like, what? Yeah, and they made a law kind of based on them, if I don't badly recall. And maybe not. It's not called the Sullivan's Law, that's a myth. But it's a law that it was kind of based on the situation in which all five brothers joined the Navy at the same time, or Marines, I'm not entirely sure, I'm so sorry. And they joined together to fight World War II. They all were designated to the same ship, and the ship went down with all of them at the same time. So they kind of have this law that if you join with your brothers, you better do it in different branches, or at least it won't be designated in the same groups. And my brother was like, oh, but if that's the case, you just have to ban war, and that's it. And I was like, I can't believe you're going to be a journalist. So we were roasting each other like brothers should. And at the same time, we were talking about brothers who died together on a war on Brother's Day. So things took a dark turn, but at the same time, it's like it's such a brotherly interaction, the one that I just described. And I think that's a thing that I don't think many other people understand unless you ever had a brother or a sister or any type of brother connection. I had to be kind of like his older sister, and at the same time I had to be a little bit the father figure because my dad wouldn't even be the kind of guy who would play football with him. He goes, oh, because I'm terrible at football. My mom would always say to him, he doesn't know any better. You just have to play with him. So apparently, upon hearing those things, I would take on the role of playing football. Of course, I will always win because I would change the rules every 5 minutes. But yeah, the, the the connection you have with your brothers, it's very peculiar and a very special one. And do we say each other things? Yeah, he has said to me worse things than idiot. Some of those things I don't think I would ever forgive. There's certain things, like, I think that when you're hanging around all the time together, your relationship can actually go worse with the years. When there's a little bit of distance, there's a little bit of breathing space, you know? Because the relationship goes south very quickly. And I think my brother even had some abandonment issues after I left. Because one of the things he said to me on the next Saturday, right after I moved out. Yeah, no, it was the next Saturday, 1 week after. I went to visit and he said, oh, you just don't care about the dog because if he gets sick, you just leave to, and he mentioned the region where I'm living now, and that's it. You just don't care about us anymore. I'm just like, abandonment issues much, isn't it? So we're going through both of those things. To be honest, I've heard that relationship with your brothers improve when you are apart, when you have some healthy distance and you're not glued by the hips. I have personally always seen the relationships in which brothers are like glued by the hip all the time, a bit of suspiciousness because you should have some wear and tear in that relationship. I mean, that can happen, but that's really weird. Also, relationship with your brother, it's kind of like the one relationship you kind of have to be kind of, or at least that has been my case, in which you have to be the father role, at least when you're the older sister, and a brother, a sibling. And that's a bit of a tricky position to be at. And to be honest, I wouldn't desire that position to nobody. And I think that's that might be also a result of a bad upbringing in which adults, maybe not all of them, but some of them had failed in their duties. So I was taken upon duties that they were not supposed to be that way. So I kind of became like the big old bro, like the like kind of like the father figure. Like some of the things that my dad should have spoken about with my brother, I was the one who spoke about those things to him. Which, okay, that's a good thing someone spoke about those things with him to begin with. But if it wasn't for me, who would have spoken about that? And it's pretty saddening because I know that I am never going to be as good as a good father. But I don't know. It's just a shitty position. Sorry about that. So, self expression is one thing I'm working on, and be more vulnerable. So, yeah, should we be the role parents in a relationship with our brothers? No, we shouldn't. We clearly shouldn't. But you know what? Life is like the way it is. What am I going to do about it? I can't. I can't change what it is. And one good, healthy thing, it's banter. One thing is banter, another thing is abuse. Please. There are brothers and brothers out there. Just don't. Just don't. Okay? Healthy banter is one thing. What I have seen in other relationships is it's just, that's not a loving brother. That's a red flag. That's and my brother has some issues, but that's exactly why I move away to keep my distance. I mean, no one is perfect, that's for sure. Maybe there is some growing up to do on everyone's end, but there is one thing for sure is that the relationship you have with your sibling, it's not a relationship you have with anyone else in the world. Especially when you're an older sister or an older brother. And I say older sister more pointedly because it's usually in most societies of the world, you're the one in charge of caretaking everyone else. Societally speaking, and I don't like to speak of patriarchy and girl feminist on everyone. But the reality is that more often than not, there is this expectation of girls taking care of everyone else. Whether it's the elderly, the sick, or your baby brothers. And sometimes that expectation is placed upon the boys in the family. That's very rare, however. But there is a very poignant thing on being the elder brother or sister, and it's that you have a duty with your baby brothers. Or at least that's why you feel. And sometimes you try to do your best to protect them, even from themselves, which that can be a massive fail. And sometimes my mom is a little bit too protective and like, you have to let him fail, you have to let him crush him against himself against the wall so he can, grow. Like being an adult, be a human. That's a lesson my mom hasn't learned that much yet. That's why she was so like, rah, whatever. I said, I'm moving out. Abur. I'm leaving. But yeah, a relationship with brothers is pretty unique. If you don't have a completely piece of trash, like there are many levels. This is the thing I have with toxic, the issue I have with the term toxic. Everyone is at some degree toxic. And this is something I want you to, I don't know, I want you to start thinking about in life. You're gonna have to always deal with toxic environments and toxic people and uncomfortable situations. And this is something I was thinking actually about last Sunday. You have to always have to deal with certain levels of uncomfort, of difficulty and toxicity. Those three things are always going to be because you're human. I'm sorry, you're not on the fifth plane of existence. You're not a massive energy. You're on the third plane of existence. You get fucked. Okay? So you're going to have to choose what's the type of pain and toxicity and what's the level of suffering you can endure, or at least the one that you think it's acceptable to endure. You have to choose. I mean, if you can choose the least amount of toxicity and pain as possible, that would be great. That would be great. Stay away from bad people, toxicity and drugs and things. But the thing is, sometimes we cannot choose it. Sometimes we have to have a job. Sometimes we have to do certain things. So the thing is, what's going to be your poison? What's the level of stress you want to put yourself through? Okay? For example, teaching. Very good example. When I quit teaching, my mom couldn't understand why. Why are you abandoning the teaching, the, the institute to become a teacher? And I was like, because they don't pay me enough for the amount of stress they're gonna put me through. So it was not a kind of stress I was comfortable with. And they certainly do not pay you enough to deal with all of that crap. Especially in my country, there's a lot of politics. If you think there's politics in the north, you should wait until your country goes a little bit more into the communist end of things. Oh boy, things get interesting. I can assure you, things get wild pretty fast. So, when it comes to relatives and things like that, choose the level of uncomfortability you're willing to accept. Me living every day with my brother in the same home, that's not something I'm willing to accept. So I'm living alone. Is that something I was able to afford? Yes, a lot. After many years of saving money and after many years of struggling to do so. Is that a luxury many can afford? No. That's the thing. What's the level of stress you can afford to have? Or you can afford to endure? And the thing is, sometimes you have to endure some things because you don't have a choice. You can't move out. You can't leave your toxic parents' house. You can't leave an environment. You're going to have to endure it. So you're going to have to start dosing stress and reducing it in other levels of existence. And maybe being more tactical when it comes to what kind of stress and toxicity you're having to deal with. Me and my brother just talking to each other once a week, maybe two, that's great. That's something I can put up with. Being with each other every single day in the same household, not recommendable. Would not recommend. Minus 10 out of 10. So, to close up, the relationship with your brothers, it's very, 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 very special, very unique. We should all treasure it. The sense of responsibility and duty, especially in certain households, you have because you just have to protect them because they're like your baby. Sometimes my landlord the other day came to make some repairs in the electrical system, and I was talking about my brother. He said, and I said to him, "Oh yeah, my baby brother. And how old is he? 28." He was like, "Oh," and I would be like, "Sorry, it's just he's my baby brother." So yeah, the relationship you're gonna have, especially if you were kind of like the parent figure, it's gonna be very special. But yeah, and the stress that comes with it, that's gonna be something you're gonna have to think and rethink and really think if you want to put up with. Do you really want to put up with that level of stress? Is that something you can handle? Is that something you can do? Is that sustainable? Is that a level of stress you can sustain? And if it's not, and can you leave? And if it's not something you can live, well, can you withstand it? Can you do something about it? Can you do something about it? Because many times we cannot leave. So yeah, I sincerely wish you nothing but the best. I sincerely wish that if you ever had a brother or sister, at least not to be too crazy, too toxic, or at least to be a level of toxic that you can endure. And if you cannot endure it, I sincerely hope you can leave. Yeah. And yeah. And ironically, we were fighting about the Sullivans that were fighting. The fight we were fighting about the fighting Sullivans on the Brothers' Day. So that's something. Yeah. I hope you have enjoyed this mess of a video. And until next time, I wish you nothing but the best. And yeah, have a good day. And yeah. And best of luck. And enjoy yourself. And thank you for your time. And I'm so sorry for making it too long. I'm so sorry. Have a good day. Until next time. Bye bye.